Okay, so welcome to this video. So yeah, today I'm going to show you a new exploit I discovered yesterday. I call it tile entity swap. You're going to see why. So basically this allows you to delete any of those blocks but still keep the NBT data. And then you can replace that block with any other tile entity and it will keep the tile entity data of the first block. So in the first clip I showed you that I got a chest NBT data inside of a bee nest. And it works exactly like it would work with a chest. Of course, when it comes to hoppers and also droppers, by the way. Why does it work? Why doesn't it delete the NBT data? So right here we are actually using a floating comparator. And why? So the explanation was found by Punchster. So when this chest is getting destroyed, the first thing that actually happens is that this chest sends comparator updates. It happens before it sends regular block updates and before the NBT data is deleted. So basically this comparator is updated first before the NBT data is getting deleted. The comparator pops out and yeah, it updates the update suppression block. Of course, normally you would use a regular update suppressor, which basically means we are update suppressing the removal of this block before the NBT data is deleted. So after the block is deleted, we are left with basically free roaming NBT data of a chest, and then we can replace it with any other tile entity in the game to keep it stable. Because if you don't replace it with a tile entity, or you replace it, for example, with whatever other block, the NBT data will still stay here, but after you reload the chunk, it's gonna be gone. So here I prepared a list of blocks that we can yeet without yeeting the NBT. So we have a chest, trapped chest, furnace, smoker, blast furnace, dropper, dispenser, hopper, shulker box, barrel lectern, and jukeboxes. Those work a bit special. Why only this list and not all of the other tile entities? Because we need blocks that actually send comparator updates before deleting the NBT data. So those blocks interact with comparators via their NBT data. So for example, Beaness and Beehive, they also interact with comparators, but they only interact with the honey level block state. They don't interact with comparators via the NBT data. So basically, as I explained earlier, we need the tile entity to send out comparator updates before basically doing anything else, and only those blocks achieve it. Only those blocks send out comparator updates. So why are jukeboxes a bit special? No idea why, but they only send out comparator updates when they are playing music. So yeah, those tile entities here would work normally. You don't have to put any items inside of them. As you saw in the first clip, the comparator wasn't powered, the chest didn't have any items. But for some reason I still don't understand, jukeboxes, they need to be playing a music disc in order for the tile entity to stay behind. Why doesn't a brewing stand work? It just doesn't work because Mojang forgot to add stuff. So as I said earlier, we need the tile entity to send updates to comparators. So if I destroy this chest, it's going to send out the update to the comparator. But if I do the same thing with the brewing stand, it just doesn't send updates. So this will not work, unfortunately. So after you get your floating NBT data, you can replace it with any other tile entity in the game. And when I mean any other tile entity, I mean it. So we can replace it with any other of those initial tile entities. So chest, furnace, blast, blah 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 blah. It will work fine. But also you can replace it with literally any other tile entity. So you can have beacon with chest NBT. You can have a creeper head with dispenser NBT. You can have an enchanting table with, I don't know, smoker, whatever. Most of the time it's not gonna do anything. Probably the most impressive thing is if you have, for example, a head with chest NBT data and you have creeper storage or something like that. Bells are apparently tile entities, beds are tile entities, and also those three are kind of interesting. I'm going to show you why in a bit. And also we have a couple blocks that aren't like technically obtainable in survival, like you couldn't really place them by hand in survival, but they would still work. So for example, end gateway, I'm going to show you a setup where you can, for example, get a chest NBT inside of an end gateway, and also you can get any other NBT data inside of the end portal. So that trick was actually already shown by Observr. I will link his video in the description. Now I'm going to move on to some interesting examples when it comes to those NBT swaps. Okay, so right now I'm going to show you a couple examples of some interesting things that happen when you swap the tile entity data. So first, floating comparator, then we destroy the chest, then we get a Venus, and we do data, get, block, and yeah, we have a chest. So yeah, now comparators interact with like normal. We can push items into it and we can suck out of them. So right here we do the same, floating comparator, destroy the chest, and now we, for example, can get a sign storage. See how this didn't give me the GUI? Normally I have the GUI forced on me, but here I didn't. And once again, data, get, block, and it's a chest. It works like a regular chest. So we can push stuff into it. We can see that it has the items in the NBT data, and we can suck the items out of it. What is also very interesting is that comparators are apparently tile entities. So we can, once again, floating comparator, destroy the chest, get a comparator, and we have comparator storage. So we can put in some comparators here and unlock the hopper, and we can suck out items from the comparator. Banners as well. And banners are actually invisible, because there is no NBT data showing like what are the colors, so the game is confused and shows it as just invisible block. But yeah, like before, it works like a chest. Suck in, suck out. And probably the most innovative out of all of them, we can finally have cactus storage. Not really, but just stay with me. Floating comparator, destroy chest, place a cactus, data, get, block. Let's go. Cactus storage. So what's the catch? It doesn't work. Unfortunately, hoppers don't interact with a cactus, with NBT data. So yeah, it's so close yet so far. Alright, so as I mentioned earlier, you can also get an end gateway with any other tile entity data. So how do you do it? I would suggest you do it in a creative world first. So you go through end gateway generated here. So we create the setup and we do the same thing. Of course, you would remove the bedrock beforehand, but whatever. So now in this exact spot we have a chest NBT. So now we remove everything that would block the end gateway from generating in that exact spot. We refresh the gateway. So in survival, you would first generate the NBT and then go through the end gateway. But this is how you would like prepare the setup for survival, so you know exactly where to generate the chest NBT. So when I go through the end gateway generates, and if I do data get, we have a end gateway with chest NBT data. And guess what? It's broken. It's literally useless. Unless you want end gateway storage. Then you can absolutely get it. Congratulations. Okay, so there is one more very important thing I have to mention. Unfortunately, this exploit comes with a very dangerous crash loop bug. So if we get the chest NBT data on a dropper or a dispenser, and we do, yeah, it's a dispenser. So it's a dropper with chest NBT data. So what happens when I power it? Server crashes. Why? Because the dropper block is trying to dispense an item. So it calls a function that doesn't exist for the chest NBT data, so the server crashes. It's very dangerous. Right now we are actually in a crash loop. I'm gonna have to do something different to actually save the server. So that's basically it for now. Have fun.